So, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Tunde Kelani, but everybody calls me TK. Distinguished guests, fellow filmmakers, artists, and friends. On behalf of our executive producers, Mr. Tayo Ladimiji and Cordelia, and on behalf of the entire cast and the crew representing the cast and the creative team behind Cordelia, I warmly welcome you to this very special occasion. After 3 years of hard work, resilience, and faith, Cordelia is finally ready for cinema audiences. Cordelia is not just about the release of a film. It is the celebration of a journey that began with a powerful story on the pages and comes alive on nationwide cinema distribution by Film One from July 18, 2025. Thank you. At the heart of Cordelia is a literary work by one of our greatest writers, Professor Femi Osofison. His novel provided the foundation, a layered, compelling narrative that we were honored to adapt for cinema. This is a reminder of the critical bond between African literature and the African film. Our written stories, alongside oral tradition, folklore, and lived experiences, are part of our intangible heritage. When we adapt them to film, we are not just entertaining, we are preserving, interpreting, and passing on our culture. This is what makes our cinema deeply authentic and what sets African storytelling apart. Cordelia is a film about silence, about the unspoken damage of power and the quiet suffering of those who live in the shadows of history. It is a political and historical story, yes, but it's also deeply personal. It holds a mirror to the fractures in our society and the fragility within the family when truth is suppressed. Because when power changes hands by force, when there's a military coup or a natural disaster caused by years of neglect, it is not the powerful who suffer first. It is the innocent, ordinary families that are torn apart. Children are displaced, parents are silenced or disappear. The people caught in the crossfire are those simply trying to live, to raise their families, and to survive. Cordelia gives voice to those quiet victims, the ones history books often forget. And one of the most moving aspects of this film, what binds it emotionally, is the music. The original score was composed by the talented Michael Ogunlade, but it reached new creative heights through a unique collaboration, the music department of the University of Delaware in the US, under the leadership of Professor Anderson, arranged, orchestrated, and scored the film in a project that is titled Cultural Fusion. This collaboration between continents, between cultures, between traditions and techniques represents exactly what Cordelia stands for. It's a creative dialogue, a meeting point between African stories and global craftsmanship, and it shows what is possible when we open our doors to collaboration while staying true to our roots. To our extraordinary cast here represented and our crew, thank you for your passion and professionalism to the composers, musicians, and partners behind the sound of Cordelia, thank you for giving this film its soul. And to our audience, the Nigerian audience, who have stood with African filmmakers through decades of evolution, you are the true backbone of this industry. Through those era of Nollywood, VHS, VCD, cinema and streaming, you have stayed loyal. You believed in our stories when others didn't, and it is for you that we continue to create. So in conclusion, let us recognize and thank the team that made today possible. City People magazine, led by our brother, the visionary editor, Mr. Tunde Kelani, and the assistant editor, Mr. Sunday Adigun, and their entire hardworking team. I thank you for organizing this press conference and for your continued commitment to celebrating the Nigerian creativity and culture. As for me, Cordelia is not the end, but a new beginning, marking the start of a fresh chapter filled with entertaining, thought-provoking, and culturally grounded films that will continue to complement my decades-long journey in African cinema. Ire ni o, ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
Thank you very much, sir. Beyond the speech, which is superb, I must say. Now, very quickly, sir, I'm interested in getting to know this particular movie coming out, Cordelia. You've been doing movies for decades now. I want to ask that what exact number would we call this particular one coming out? Can you put a number to it for us to know that, okay, this is the particular number of movies?
You know, I've had I have decades of my career, and it is all layer. At first, I was trained in television, and there was a time when I actively did newsreel. I was in the NTA, and I was carrying, if I was still in service, I would be one of the gentlemen standing there. And there was a time for many years, on contract underground, I was the BBC World Service cameraman in Nigeria, and I passed all that stage of my life. And it was at a point when I said, no, wait, I'm going to stop this and face the narratives. We had, through technologies, been essentially cinematographer in one part of the Nigerian cinema. And then when the technology changed, it was the time for me I was independent, and we started mainframe productions. So I don't know where to start the camp. But if we started from when the technology changed and we started to use video, we had no choice because of the Nigerian economy had collapsed completely. And I decided to appropriate the new technology and for me to tell the stories. So we will start the camp from Tiluwanile, and then Oshegbe, and then Oleku, and then Thunderbolt, Shaworile, Agugoyewo, and Campus Queen, and the Narrow Path, finally Ayila, finally Dazzling Mirage, Mami, and then we're here. So without bothering to count, I just say maybe 15 or so. Although some of my associates, especially my lawyer Jide Bello, insists that I have done 28. Wow. You know, so let's take his figure and say that I've made roughly about 28 films.
Oh, fantastic, sir. You've just given us a figure to it. And most of those, in fact, the entire movies you mentioned are top-notch movies, which remain evergreen. When you even get to have access to those movies, it's just as if they are new again. So this particular one coming out, which is Cordelia, I want to ask that what actually inspires you to come up with this?
Well, as you know, my works can be classified. Basically, I work in adaptation because I love literature. I've read all our authors and been influenced by all the superior arts. But I've done a lot of adaptations. Koshegbe, Oleku, Mami, Thunderbolt. They are books. That's really right. They are books. And Cordelia is adapted from Femi Osofison's work. Remember that we had done Mami, written by Femi Osofison. As a matter of fact, when I approached Professor Femi Osofison, I had Cordelia in my hands. It was like not a complete novel, it's like a novella or something. You could not believe that such a powerful story can come out, a thing can come out from such a small book. And when I got to him, I told him, I sat down and told him that I had come to discuss Cordelia. And then he laughed and said, I don't know, maybe if you saw Mami, I don't know what you think about it. So he went inside and brought Mami. And I read a few pages and said, this is what I'm going to do. This is the one I'm going to do first. You know, and at that time, remember in 2010, they had brought the World Cup first time to the African soil. And I wanted to connect his story to the World Cup. So I said, no, this is what I'll do first. And for about 7 or 8 years, I kept Cordelia in my cabinet, waiting for the opportunity. And then one day, I got visitors. It was Professor James Anderson from the professor of music and is the head of orchestral activities from University of Delaware. And what it came in sort of a delegation, and what they wanted to be involved in a project that was called Cultural Fusion. Originally, they wanted me to give them one of their old films, which they would take the soundtrack down, and then we would score a music, we compose a music in Nigeria, and when they get back with audience and everything, they will screen the film without the music, and the live orchestra of about 75 people will play to it. Once he finished talking, I said, no, I'm not going to give you any of my old films. We are going to make a new one. So I went inside and brought Cordelia and said, this is what we are going to make. So many things have inspired Cordelia. The music is special. It was composed by Michael Ogunlade, and then it was arranged, scored, and performed at the University of Delaware in the US. And as you can see, it looks like a small story, but it connects all of us. And I'm lucky to have had such a fantastic cast behind it. If you see the film, you will see what magic these stars have brought to this film.
So coming from that line, sir, I wonder, I don't know if anybody within us would also be thinking such, that with the caliber of a cast you have on ground or that you used in the movie, how is it like putting all these people together to help you achieve the movie?
I can't claim credit for putting them together, because sometimes when you are creative, God surrounds you with what you need. Like my brother
story.
William, we had worked together on Campus Queen. I think he had a scene or two at the moment, but I never forgot him. You know, so when the time came, professor struggling with a marriage in the university and so on. So I thought, well, perhaps one or two people, and then 3 days before we started, he called me, just wanted to say hi, hello. And I said, what are you doing for the next 1 month? And then that's how William came in. And of course, my sister here, you know, we had never worked together, or even perhaps never met. But everybody kept suggesting, you know, get Yvonne. And so she's here. And then, you know, he's tailor-made. Kelechi is made tailor-made for Major for Major Kawale in the past. So, you know, we found ourselves. Or the film found us.
So everybody loves to work with TK. really. But I still want to ask you that what actually informs your choices of cast you use in your movies?
No.
Starting from the time of Shawo, Ide and the likes, I can definitely say that I was more why those movies came out. But I got to know that those that were cast in that movie, they become top movie, this thing we have around now. So what actually informs your decision of
I
your
think
choices
my
of cast?
style of working is very simple because I make films that have a bit of myself and my environment in it. And I'm a keen observer of the society. So I can easily match people to these roles. And I cast people who are closest to the character before I decide that's the person that's going to play. You know, so I say I go along, I look at everybody, and you know, so I store it away. And when the time comes, I recall it and say, get somebody like that. Sometimes it works like that for me because, but sometimes there are surprises, things that I didn't think about or never. But I have learned as I live my life to pay attention to everything happening around me. Sometimes when I'm about to start a project, I'm always careful about people who just visit me out of the blue. You know, because there has to be a reason. I don't believe meeting is anyway, not a coincidence. I feel something deeper when I meet new people. Look at Bukola Oyemi that play Aruba. I've tried, you know, some of the cast I wanted in mind, but something funny was happening. Anybody I had in mind was either due for delivery of a new baby or just too pregnant to move. I said like that, so I was wondering what the hell is happening. And one day, Bukola showed up, slim girl, dark, and she's serving. She's in youth service from Kwara University or University of Ilorin, precisely. And then I said, okay, all right, come again, and so on. Then she was just for 2 minutes and said, call her back, call the girl back. And that's how she played me. You know, so I'm always very receptive. You know, because one thing very great about Nigeria, our country, is what God has given us. We have everything, any location you can dream of. From Sahara to the Atlantic Ocean, all the East River, swamps, everything, you have everything. But more importantly, we have the people. Largely, Nigerians are so creative that you can almost virtually pick anybody on the road and you'll be ready to act. Not to talk about not talented, tested, trained, educated, you know, talents like I work with all the time.
All right,
without them, I mean, there will be no film.
All right, thank you, sir. Can we have other media outlets to ask these questions now? But before...
So I will not start with Cordelia. We shoot back to the first time I ever worked with him. I was in University of Lagos studying English, and they came to do audition. So I walked in. I was quite not. I was not in his face, but he just said, "Oh, you play this character." Then we had Odegbami around them. So
can you imagine? Mathematical. Even acted in the film.
Yes. So one thing I've always loved to do is to do whatever I've been given to do and do it with everything within me. And I'm more of a collaborative actor and a thinking actor on the spot. So I needed to make a mark that would drag me in his purview. Then after we finished the film, Campus Queen, I think about a month or so later, I got a call from on my phone, and it was TK calling me. And he said, "Can you come to my office at Oshodi?" And I went there, and we got talking. He said, "You're very quiet." But when I watched the film again, I saw you were like, "Who is this guy?" And he said, "William, I want to do another film, and I want you to play the lead, but I don't want you to do any other thing." And I'm a very loyal person when it comes to things like that. For a period of time, I didn't do anything, but I kept visiting him. And if you know TK for one, he's very observant of his environment. TK can decide to leave his office and go to Oshodi and just sit down in the corner and be catching snippet shots of the environment. And I was sitting there and just said, "Hey, pause, hold up." I said, "Don't move." And he brought out his camera and snapped me and said, there's this inspector guy I'm working on, and I want you to. I said, okay, and that was it. Then, fast forward to Cordelia. I was in church. I just finished from church that day, and I went home. I was writing, then something just said, call TK and greet him. You've not said hello to him in a long while. So I called him, and the next thing I heard was, hey, William, are you in the country? What are you doing? Are you free for the next 1 month? I said, yes. Even if I'm not free, I'm free for you, TK. And that was it. And he said, do me a 60 seconds monologue. It's not for me, it's for the other people who are watching. I know what you can do, but I just need other people to. And that was it, and I came on board, only to find out that I'm working with this awesome, delectable queen, Yvonne Jegede. This time here, I've worked with Yvonne. I've worked with him several times.
When they're married.
And when I saw her, I was quite excited because I've seen her, and from that project, we became very good friends, and started visiting her house, saying hello to the family and all that. And she's a wonderful actor.
Yvonne, you should tell
And working with TK.
the press what kind of marriage you have.
We'll come back to that. So working with TK is fun. He gives you the latitude to express yourself, and you see him, he hardly gets in your way. The only way he gets in your way is the camera. What he sees, you are not seeing it. Just be yourself and all that, and having to have awesome actors to play with. We made the job a lot easier for him. It wasn't anything beyond what the capacity we've got to exercise what we've practiced for a long time, and having the field to play with, and without much supervision. That's the kind of director TK is. He trusts you to deliver, and if I have that kind of trust, I don't turn it down. I respect it and deliver what I'm asked to deliver.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.